Christ Center presents Let's Talk About Love, a program focusing on romantic and family relationships. Our church is located at 1615 West Shelton Avenue in the heart of West Oak Lane in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania 19126. Our phone number, 215-LIVRITE, Live Right. Our teacher is pastor and counselor and 8-time author, Dr. David R.L. Stevens. This is a listener-supported program. All donations should be made out to Christ Center Church of God and Mark Radio. And now, here is our teacher, Dr. Stevens.
Hi, I'm Pastor David Stevens, sharing again from my book, Falling Back in Love. This is radio's fastest 15 minutes, and we call this program Let's Talk About Love. And I call it fastest 15 because we usually run out. Trying to do something, we run out of time. Like last week, we had to do part 1 of what your wife wants you to know. And we're trying to have an honest conversation with husbands to help in their relationship with their wives. So I had to cut off in the middle, and so I'm going to start today where I left off last week. Almost every magazine these days featured some headline article on how to stimulate super erotic moments. 101 ways to turn your woman on, the hidden treasures of intimacy, 50 ways of lovemaking, finding her secret spot, on and on they go. Listen, you can pretty much save your money if you remember WTD, kind words, tender touches, and supporting deeds. This is shared because it is seen pretty much as a need that most women have. Remember that, WTD, kind words, tender touches, supporting deeds. It is seen pretty much as a need that most women have, and it's shared with husbands to help in your relationship. It's not shared to maneuver or manipulate. It just makes all the sense in the world that if it's a need that can be supplied easily by husbands, we should learn to build it into our regular routine. This is the formula that can make you, Mr. Husband, into Mr. Great Husband. Remember, WTD, kind words, tender touches, and supporting deeds. That's what will turn your wife on. The words should be kind words of recognition and appreciation, not words of ridicule and condemnation. Loving, caring words that help her know that you value her greatly. Words that identify her as the one closest to your heart. What I can remember about the TV character Archie Bunker is that he almost never had any intentional endearing words for his wife Edith. He ridiculed and put her down at every opportunity. The show's writers projected her even in the face of all the put-downs as a dutiful, jovial glutton for the punishment her husband gave. Remember, now that was TV. It does not work in real life. Trust me, Edith Bunker does not live in your house. Positive communication in a loving environment is enhancing. I try to remember to always say thank you to my wife for cooking all of the great dinners she prepares. She goes all out, not only in the preparation, but in the presentation as well. She decorates my plate the way a master chef would. She sees to it that the table is always set with a placemat, etc. She loves it when I notice these things and say thank you. When we eat out, she always thanks me for dinner. Our love is regularly expressed with kind words and loving deeds of appreciation. A husband who learns and practices the art of soft words turns away wrath. Now, when I say this, I am in no way suggesting or condoning dishonesty and subterfuge. What I am encouraging is that husbands should find the easiest and nicest way of communicating your heart. Then remember, don't let all of your conversations center around business, the bills, the kids, the house, etc. Tell her the nice things about herself. Let her know how much you appreciate her. the sacrifices that she makes for you and the family. These are the things that most husbands receive and accept but barely really notice. If you begin to notice them, it will put you in a different league altogether. The ultimate home run is when you make her feel good about herself. I haven't met too many women who are not concerned about their appearance. Am I getting too heavy? Do you think I've lost too much weight? Is my hair getting too long, too gray, too dull, etc.? What do you think about the way I dress lately? The questions that wives ask about themselves never end. If the husband begins to volunteer compliments before the questions come, he will meet a deep need. When he begins to address her needs for verbal reassurance, her appreciation level for him will increase. I remember learning in the schoolyard that little poem motto that went, "Sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me." Now, that little slogan helped me get through elementary, junior high, and senior high school. But beyond the school context, when you think of it, the slogan is pretty dumb. Words can hurt. They may not have the ability to break bones, but they certainly have the potential to break hearts. I think even I knew that back in kindergarten. While being called some pretty awful names, the poem just helped to launch a counterattack so that the little perpetrator wouldn't know that you suffered a hit. Yes, words can certainly hurt. That's why we caution couples to use the most positive words they can use in conveying a message. The good news is that words can heal. I remember running to my mama after one of those schoolyard bullies sent a verbal brick through my poetic fence. But mama, before she did anything else, would sit me down and begin pouring on the verbal oil. She would remind me how special I was and that no one who really knew me could ever say anything like that about me. Well, when I walked out of a private head session like that with Dr. Mom, I was ready to go back out on the battlefields of life. Her words healed me. They not only healed me for the occurrence, but put healing in me for a lifetime. Husbands must be ever so careful to put healing into their wives. The secret is to place in them words that affirm them and benefit them before they experience an outside hit. Confidence builds walls that protect. Wives who feel protected and appreciated are far more likely to feel intimately aroused. Romancing her early in the day may set the kind of thrilling tone for her that escalates and expands through the day. Whether or not the marriage act is experienced that particular night is not of the greatest importance. Romance can be cumulative. It just may accumulate over a couple of days, stirring up great sexual passions that explode into great moments for each of you. Again, we make the point that wives are generally stimulated more by acts of kindness and tenderness, coupled with supporting deeds. Helen and John had been married for about 17 years. They had 3 children, a nice home in the suburbs, and the normal debts that married people have. John started to notice that Helen had become very restless and dissatisfied about almost everything over the last several years. He tried to figure out where all of this negative stuff was coming from. Trying to fix the problem, he decided to pour money into their house and whatever else he thought he could do to satisfy her unrest. One good thing that marriage counseling provides is a format to help people talk more freely. Married folks should make time to talk to each other, but so often when something happens to block that freedom, it gets increasingly easier to build walls that separate. The next thing that usually happens after the wall starts is a tendency to justify why there is a wall. After several sessions, it was discovered that what Helen really wanted was for John to show more personal interest in her, not their house and other things. "Take me out of here. Let me have a real life," she screamed at him one day. Finally, she was able to confess that she was feeling trapped. For most of the 17 years she was having children and keeping house, in her mind, John got to go out into the world and see things. To her, John's life was an ever-changing kaleidoscope of events. To her, life was centered around children and housework. Trying to financially struggle to maintain the suburban dream limited their time and money to do other things. She felt that John never really took her out just to show her off. She felt that socially, she had become a misfit. Maybe she had always been a misfit, she began reasoning, and that troubled her greatly. She resented being defined solely on her mothering and domestic skills. She wanted John to love her for something else. She was intelligent and gifted, but lately it seemed to her that all validity was based on the kids and home. It did not help her when even her church celebrated her as one of its top moms of the year. Was she only a good mom? Was that the sum total of her existence? What John could not see was that she needed to be appreciated for her personhood, aside from the things she did. To base everything on her serving skills alone was shallow in her eyes. Yes, she really was a good mom and a good wife who kept a good home, but that was what she did, not who she was. What John could do to begin reversing some of her malaise is to begin simply looking at the things that she was complaining about. Use these things as road markers toward a different future. Rather than try to defend the things that irritated her, he could begin to highlight the things where she sought recognition. She wanted to be recognized as the beautiful woman in his life. She was discouraged about the few pounds that she had gained after giving birth to their 3 children. She was still a beautiful lady. Their comfortable home had become for her a private prison. John needed to celebrate her apart from their home. He had to begin talking to her and taking her out to places where she could be noticed. In order to do this, he had to recognize that a wardrobe change was necessary. The clothes that she wore to PTA functions and even church services probably would not fit the bill. Once he really got it, he began to reinforce his appreciation for her as a person. Instead of buying her a toaster, he started buying her dresses and lots of personal things. These are the things that started to really set Helen off and to set her up for greatness. Okay, I'm going to stop there for the reading. I guess we'll have to do a part 3 on this. But listen, I want you to be able to get a hold of all of our broadcasts, and you can do that by go to soundcloud.com/sound marriages, and you'll be able to pick up the broadcast. That's soundcloud.com/sound marriages. Okay, it's that time. I've got to get out of here. If you're interested in my books, go to davidstevensbooks.com. davidstevensbooks.com. Okay, have a great day. See you next time.
We hope you've enjoyed this edition of Let's Talk About Love. This program has been presented by Christ Center Church of God, 1615-19 West Shelton Avenue in the heart of the West Oak Lake section of Philadelphia. Our speaker has been Dr. David Stevens, pastor, counselor, and award-winning author. This radio program is listener-sponsored, and we do solicit your prayers and donations. See you next time on Let's Talk About Love.